Observer Voice suddenly became aware of bodily sensations. Water lapping against the underside of her chin. Water splashing over her chin and into her mouth, cold, unexpected, hitting the back of her throat, causing her to splutter and cough. Water entering her nostrils, causing her to snort, clearing her sinuses. Jen came to with a start, spat, and shivered. What the? She tried to touch the bottom of her lake with her toes. The water was too deep. How the hell did I get out here? The attendant's voice rang in her head. Exposure makes you do crazy things. But the air didn't feel cold. Neither, for that matter, did the water. It was at this point she became aware of the voices. More distant than before. Less like a tightly tucked-in comforter, but still immersive. A lost track from an Enya album. Lush, seductive. No words, but still conveying meaning. Come to us. Stay. You're safe here. But there was something in the tonality that told her she was being lied to. The stars, too, had lost their glamour. Now they gleamed cold, judgmental, merciless, almost sneering at her. What made her let out what started as a swear word and trailed into an expression of fright was the sound of 3 bubbles breaking the surface behind her. She spun around to the sight of 3 dark figures, heads, shoulders, and upper arms just visible against the water. Whatever the shapes were, they were clearly taller than her, since she could not touch the lake bottom with her outstretched toes, and they were wading towards her, singing. It was beautiful, but now there was an edge of cruelty to it, a rasp of hunger. The bastard bit me! She swiveled over onto her back, lowered her other leg, windmilled horizontally with her arms. Her luck was in. Her free foot touched gravel. She pushed against the lake bottom in an attempt to propel herself in the direction of the beach and bent her wounded leg at the knee to pull her foot towards her. The creature was still attached to it and floated in towards her like a boat might if she pulled it by its mooring rope. She kicked again with her free foot against the grit at the bottom of the lake, and then hauled the creature further in, within reach of her hands. Where are your eyes, you piece of shit? I'm going to poke them out. If she could just haul this thing onto the beach, she knew what she'd used too. Those empty cans she'd buried in the stones. Filled with an objective now, she pressed her thumbs in at the fulcrum of the jaws. The pressure on her ankle eased marginally. Whatever this animal was, its head was the size of a large snake. Maybe she wouldn't need the cans after all. She could do the job with her fingers and thumbs. She kicked at the lake bottom again, and now she was just thigh deep in water. The other 2 creatures, still visible, seemed to be keeping their distance, and the singing, she noticed, had ceased. Oh, I understand. So you were going to drown me, eh, like an alligator? Well, let's see how you like it, you bastard. She flopped back onto her backside. The water lapped around her neck. Maintaining pressure on the animal's jaw with her thumb, she gave 3 more desperate thrusts with her free foot, propelling herself upwards and then backwards into shallower water. But not shallow enough. She kicked again and again until she was only inches deep in the lake. The creature was now mostly in the air. She could see gills flapping, trying to process water for oxygen. It did not, as she had imagined, have shoulders or arms. It had a head, wings like a version of a ray, and a cylindrical snake-like tail, a freshwater ray, long enough to be mistaken for a boat, with the mouth right at the front, and the ability to sing, which it began to do now, giving out a noise full of distress. Still out in deeper waters, its companions swam about agitatedly, singing back to it, as if saying, "We're here, it's dangerous there, just swim back to us." she thought. Well, you started this. Don't expect any pity from me. The creature thrashed in the shallow water and shrieked and wheezed. The other two swam back and forth, making pining noises. Something inside Jen softened. She pulled at the jaws, trying to prise them wide enough to remove her ankle. Will you let me go, you idiot? Eventually, the writhing subsided into twitching, and Jen was able to loosen the jaw and remove her bleeding ankle. The ray was still moving. She picked it up and threw it, as best as she could, into the lake, hoping it could at least cover its gills with water and once again breathe. At first it floated, drifting out slightly away from the beach. Then it lay still on the surface. Sorry, she thought, it was you or me. I did try. She turned and hobbled out of the water. The foot that had done the kicking would probably have cuts and grit embedded in it, she thought. There'll be fun and games tomorrow. The bitten ankle would almost certainly swell and needed to be at the very least doused in something like hydrogen peroxide, which fortunately she had with her. No tweezers though. So much for a peaceful weekend, and it would be light in less than half an hour. She wondered what time the store opened. Behind her from the lake came a commotion. She turned and saw the two companions lunge and attack the creature she had done battle with. Shrill cries of pain pierced the night calm, and then the struggle ceased. Water rippled onto the shore. Silence fell.